Welcome to the Dan Has No Friends podcast, MMA podcast, where I talk about MMA by myself because all my friends think it's abhorrent, but it's not. It's beautiful, and I want to talk about one of the best fights of all time. We can all agree, Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, a transformative fight. Full disclosure, pretty big Yoel Romero fan, soldier of God, and this fight got a lot of flack because Yoel Romero came out and literally just stood flat-footed and stared at Israel Adesanya as he kind of hopped around and fainted, which I don't know what you guys expected from Yoel Romero at this point. Like, if you've watched any of his other fights, like, you should know that he prefers, when he's fighting, he much prefers to do nothing than to do something. In every fight, it's true. It's basically, every fight is basically like just Yoel Romero trying to do nothing, and then eventually he just has to fight back because these guys keep coming at him, you know? But I mean, he's lost numerous fights just because he doesn't want to do anything, you know? I mean, basically every time he threw, he would fuck up Whitaker, but then he would just fucking, you know, just do for like the rest of the round. And he'd lose the round just because Whitaker's throwing bullshit. So, you know, what did you expect? What did you expect? Not to mention, those first two rounds where he was doing that might be the best 2 rounds anyone's ever fought against Israel Adesanya in an MMA cage. But can we get to the fact that Yoel Romero won the first 2 rounds of that fight against Israel Adesanya, throwing a single punch, a single strike in both rounds. Okay? You know how beautiful that, you know how perfectly Yoel's strategy has to go for him to win the first 2 rounds? Literally standing like an idiot like this and baiting one of the premier strikers of all time, best counter strikers of all time, and like he made him look like a punk, you know? Like, say what you will, but the optics aren't good when there's this big tall Nigerian dude, and he's hopping around like, oh. And there's this kind of fucking squat Cuban guy, and he's just sitting there looking at him like this, okay? You look like a punk. So he draws the counter striker in. Already brilliant. I mean, again, can you blame Yoel for not? Everyone's like thinking he's gonna charge at Adesanya. Like, that is, why would you ever charge at Israel Adesanya? Especially if you can make him look like a punk. Wait until he wades in. And then hit him with the same shot twice. He hit him with the same shot twice, once in each round. That is, you know, if your goal in fighting is to hit and not get hit, you know, and to do that in the most efficient way to win the scoring, to win a decision, winning rounds with one punches are pretty good, you know? It's about as good as it gets. And of course, you know, as a seasoned Yoel Romero fan, I know that he tends to feel bad when he's beating people up, and so he let Izzy come back and beat up his leg a little bit, you know? But I, 'cause, 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 ' forget. We won't forget about Jesus, okay? We won't forget. Oh, and I forgot to say. How fucking awesome is it to punk a dude by staring at him doing nothing in the fight, waiting for him to come in, countering the shit out of him, and then losing the rest of the fight, and in the post-fight interview, calling that guy out for not coming to fight you more. It's so good. It's so good.